Hey, it's Nay. Paint with me today.
You already know it's anything art.
That's exactly what we'll be painting today. A nice, beautiful spring painting, some tulips on there, clouds, bushels, and the sun. Take a nice look at it. I'm using canvas paper, 1 inch wash, medium wash, a round brush, and also a fan brush. I'm gonna start with my 1 inch brush. I'm just gonna get it ready by dipping it in some water. I'm gonna wipe it off on my napkin, get that extra water out. So I'm gonna start with a light yellow color. I'm grabbing some white and I'm gonna grab a hint of yellow and mix that together. I'm gonna start a little bit above the halfway mark. So I go about right here and just glide along. I want a slight hump in the center and I drag it. From there, I start to fill it in with just our yellow, moving it back and forth. And then we're going to start to dip into some white. So I'm going to dip into my white here. No need to rinse off your brush. Add my white right above the yellow. And then move that white downwards into the yellow. Back and forth. It should start to lighten up like this nice zesty lemon color. Okay, and once you have like that, I want you to start to rinse off your brush. And then you want to dip into just white. This time around, you want the white to be just a tad bit more pure without that yellow in there. And then we're going to sweep it across. I'm holding my brush just like this, and I'm sweeping across left to right. This time around, you want just white. Okay, I'll say about 1 inch of this white. Once you have your white, then you want to start to dip into your blue. Just like that. Just start with just a hint of blue first and add it above your white. So right here, right above. Once we have it like that, we're going to start to blend. So I'm going to move right beneath my blue. Every now and then I do dip into a little bit of water to make the paint a little bit more flexible to work with. So right beneath my blue, I'm going to go left to right and sweep it down into my white. Acrylic paint, it does dry really fast. So dipping into my water makes it a little bit easier to work with. The colors only blend when it's wet. So I'm going beneath my blue and I'm sweeping it very gently down towards the white. And then it's blended. Once it's blended, I don't have to keep moving downwards. I'm going to grab some more of my blue and start to move upwards with this. Back and forth. Back and forth with just that blue. So I'm going to go ahead and fill up the rest, the top, with just my blue. Slide it back and forth. You want a nice long sweeps so you don't see the brush imprint. Fill it all in. If I notice an area that doesn't look like it's blended in properly, what I can do, this area, I want to blend it that just a little bit better. I'm going to rinse off my brush. Make sure it's rinsed out really well because I'm going to go into white. Wipe it off on my napkin. Dip into the white. Because my blue is wet, my white is dry. So let's go into the white. Both colors have to be wet to blend. Let's go in that area that we want to blend. And look at that. You see the difference? There's the difference. Now it looks way better. Let's work that blue in. All right, and our sky is done. So let's go ahead and start to work on the ground area. So we rinsed off our brush. We're going to go into our green. And we're going to go right underneath the yellow. If you want to have more grass, you can overlap the yellow. I'm going to go right in. I want there to be a slight hump. So I'm starting here. I'm going up just a tad in the center. Then I come right back down. I can clean it up if I want to, just a little bit more here. Dip into some more green. And let's start to fill in. Again, holding my brush just like this, going back and forth. And let's fill in the bottom half with that green. Back and forth. Grab some more whenever you need to. Sweep it back and forth. You don't want to do short strokes like this because you see that your brush imprint. You want to glide it along. I want the ground to be a little bit darker, so I'm going to grab some black, mix it in with some of my green. I get this nice forest green. I'm going to finish off the bottom half with that darker green. Back and forth, back and forth. If the paint starts to get a little rigid, it's really hard to work with it because it dries fast. Just dip into a little bit of water. It's going to make it easier to work with. And remember, sweep it all the way across. Dip into some more paint if you need to, left to right. Acrylic paint, it is water-based, so sometimes it needs more than one layer. So when it dries, it will turn slightly transparent. So if that's the case with you, you can let this dry and give it a second layer. In the meantime, I'm just going to rinse off my brush, and I want this top half to be a little bit lighter. So I'm going to go in with a little bit of my yellow and sweep this in before it dries up. I want that nice pop of yellow in there, nice hint of color. This beautiful spring painting. Okay, we are done with our bottom half. The top half should be dry. We're going to go ahead and put our sun in there next. So I'm going to use my flat brush, my medium flat brush, put in some water, get it going. So the bristles are nice and flexible, ready to work with. Let's go ahead and grab a little bit of white. And then we're going to go in the center right in here and make our sun. So I'm just laying my brush flat, and I can just twirl it like this. Makes it a little bit easier to make a circle. And then grab it, finish it off. Go ahead and take this lump of paint and flatten it out. All right, and there's our sun. I'm grabbing my flat brush, and as always, make sure you dip into some water first to get it nice and flexible. And then let's mix our light purple or lavender. I'm going to grab some white. Let's put it somewhere where we have some space. A hint of purple and a hint of this pinkish color. Mix that together. Okay, and there we go. The way I like to do clouds, start with my brush flat like this. I make this little line like that. And then I lay my brush flat and I press on it and pretend I'm erasing something. At a certain point, I start to go upwards. So there's like a little peak. I come back down and I like to taper it off. And you can adjust it however you want. Maybe you want to add a little bit more in here. Maybe you want to go underneath, expand it just a little bit more. That's a basic shape that I like to do for clouds. So we can mimic that once again. Start with our line. Pretend you're erasing something. Go at a peak at a certain point. Come back down. Taper it off. So I'm going to do a few more of those. You can always start at the peak first, and eventually you can start to taper them off if you want. Let's add some up here. I like to keep going until there's barely anything on my brush to give me that nice cloud effect. See, you hear my brush scratching my canvas because there's barely any paint left on my brush. But it's going to give me that nice cloud effect with barely anything on there. Once I have the basic foundation of my clouds, let's make sure there's more depth to it. Let's dip into a hint of purple, just a tad bit. Let's add it in our clouds. I'm going to start at the top, lay my brush flat, and I'm going to blend in a hint of that purple. Grab some more. I'm going to mix it in with a little bit of the original color I had. Lay it flat, blend it in, blend it in. Don't leave it sitting on top of the original color. You have to blend it in. You do it to however many clouds you like. You can leave some of them alone. They don't all have to have this deeper purple. You can also use your finger and blend it in, blend it in. I don't want the purple to sit on top. I want it to blend in. Once I'm satisfied, I can start to dip into some white. Blend my white in, lay my brush flat, pretend I'm erasing something. Now the cloud has more depth because there's like 3 different colors. Clouds are not flat, they have depth. Use your finger, you can smear and tap. I'm going to keep going just like that. Let's grab some more white. Let's probably add some to this one. Lay it flat, pretend you're erasing something. Okay, you can continue to watch as I continue with this pattern here. Feel free to add in some more clouds if you'd like. Remember, use your finger, tap, smear, whatever method to add in some depth to these clouds. Once you are satisfied with your clouds, we're going to go ahead and do ferns, our bushels, all that, these here. Go into your green. I'm using my flat brush. I'm going to start with a vertical line over here on the right side. I'm just dragging it straight down. You can add some more. You can go the opposite way and sweep it up this way if you'd like. Now I'm going to use a corner of the brush and just go ahead and tap on it in a diagonal direction. Tap, tap, tap. Before you go down, you kind of want to expand out a little bit further. Don't overthink this. This can be really messy. It does not have to be super neat. They can start to flatten out at the bottom. Just a tad bit. Add some on the shorter ones here. We're going to fill them up in a second. Once you have the basic foundation of the trees or the ferns, bushels, whatever you want to call them, grab some more green and go back in and go on top of the ones you already added in. It's going to start to look a little bit more opaque, which is what we want. I'm just using the corner of my brush and I'm tapping. Add some more depth to it by making some of the leaves a little bit darker. So I'm just grabbing black, a hint of black, mixing with my green. Add some of those on top in random places just to give it more depth. And if this is a little bit too advanced, you can always ball up a napkin and just make some texture on there by just tapping on it with a balled up napkin. I'm going to also go in and highlight some of that tree with some yellow. Then we'll add some bushes over here on the left side. With this one, we can be a little bit more loose with it. Sweep it up, maybe sweep some on the left side, on the right. Dab, dab, dab. Just kind of stop your brush a little bit, add some texture in there. Feel free to just kind of freestyle on this part. Add in some deeper green to add depth in there, make it look more realistic. So add some of that deeper green on top. I like to go in with my round brush and use the pointy ends to make some finer lines to mimic grass. We're going to start to add in the stems for our tulips. You're going to use your round brush for this. Make sure it's nice and pointed. And let's start off with the darker stems first. I'm mixing black and green together first. I'm going to start from the bottom and gently glide it upwards. Glide it up. The swifter you do this and the faster, the more thin and whimsical they look. Some short, make some long. Make sure they're going different directions as well. Once you have a good amount of those, rinse off your brush, grab green and a hint of yellow. I'm going to put this color on top of the darker ones. Also go in between. All right, so for the baby's breath, we're going to use a fan brush and we're just going to lightly dip into some white. Make sure it gets right on those bristles. I'm going to lay it flat and I'm going to just kind of tap. Once we have the baby's breath, we're going to finish off with the tulips. We'll start with a mixture of the pink and white. We're going to go at the top of the stems. You want to go in like you're dotting the I and you press down and drag. And then you want to do it once again. Go in like you're dotting the I, press down and drag. You're going to continue just like that. Press down and drag. Some random ones at the bottom. You have your light pink petals. You can go into your regular pink, the darker color, and add in hints of that on top. So some are a little bit darker and some are lighter. Finish up with a hint of white. Just grab a little bit and add some, maybe you want some in the middle of those petals. And then once you have that, this is the final painting, you guys. If you enjoyed this, comment and let me know. Thank you all for watching.